Good morning. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. It's a rare honor in life to follow one's heroes. And in this important year, when we are honoring the return home of the last evacuees from their exile during World War II, to stand here is to try and imagine what the conditions must have been like for them. That generation, young and not so young, was full of heroes, children, women, and men. And amongst them was Alvarez, along with other fellow Gibraltarians, clerks, and workers. He had formed what was originally known as the Gibraltarian Association in order to fight for the civil rights of our people. They asked a young lawyer, Joshua Hassan, later to be Gibraltar's first chief minister, to help them. And it was upon his advice that they changed their name to the Association for the Advancement of Civil Rights, the AACR. That was in September 1942. Gibraltar, from those early days in our civilian history, has looked to civil rights as its foundation. When exactly 58 years later, in September 2000, I first launched an association for the human rights of the LGBTI community in Gibraltar, later to evolve into a wide civil and human rights organization. Little did I appreciate the long path I was treading. Even less did I realize my own connections to the AACR with one of its well-known early founders, Emilio Alvarez, cousin to my maternal grandfather, a Parodi rather than an Alvarez, but presumably also linked via name to my paternal grandfather, who was indeed an Alvarez. Genetics and history are fine tricksters at times. We are small and big enough in Gibraltar to be closely aware of each other and our community. For this is one house. Gibraltar is one home. Gibraltar has one roof. And its people, whatever their backgrounds, whatever their color, whatever their gender, sexual orientation, ability, or disability, or any other distinguishing condition, are one family. Minister for Justice Gilbert Likudi, Jaime Neto, Opposition spokesperson, Acting Commissioner of Police, Chief Superintendent Richard Mifsud, friends and colleagues of Unite the Union, the Gibraltar Teachers Association, the Citizens Advice Bureau, Stephen Nish of GBC News, Brian Reyes, editor of the Gibraltar Chronicle, and not least, my friend, colleague, and secretary of Equality Rights Group, Charles Trico. I thank you all for your participation today. You see, there are moments in Gibraltar's history when the nation's destiny has been decided. Many have been times of violence and aggression. But that moment, when the people of Gibraltar not only decided to march for their civil rights, but pointedly chose to name the birth of that movement in the honor of the advancement of civil rights must surely be one of the most significant and important to this modern society, and one we would do well to constantly remind ourselves of. It is for this reason that it is so important to continue to strive to treat each and every individual in this caring community of ours as equals. Today, we're marking International Day Against Homophobia, IDAHO. Once more, we're marking it within the understanding of the rights of all sectors within the umbrella of the rights of all people. My name is Felix Alvarez, and I'm chairman of Equality Rights Group. Before I continue, let me just say that to be true to our word today, which is concentrating on freedom of expression, and to change the format of these public speeches and discussions, which tend to have the speaker speaking down or speaking at people who are participating in the public. I pretend at the end of the set speeches to allow time for anybody from the public or from the press to ask any questions they may wish to have of anybody who is here. Of course, my other speakers will have the right to decline to respond if that's what they wish. I certainly commit to responding to any questions whatsoever. And also anybody who may dissent or who may wish to express agreement, who wishes to have a few moments to be able to express it, I will gladly cede the microphone for them within the limitations of time that we may have. So to come back to today's event, we've been marking this day here in Gibraltar for some years now, 4 to be precise. It's fixed for the 17th of May internationally, but since for the last 2 years it's fallen on a weekend, we've marked it towards the end of the preceding week. Next year we'll be back to the 17th of May, in line with everybody else. It's a big global event, and you will no doubt see it reported on your TV screens and in the international press. It's a multitudinous occasion in the big countries, of course, but at its core, it's not about the big scale. It's about millions of little impacts, about 1 million ordinary little things in ordinary lives. In its soft, tender middle, it's not about politics, it's not about ideologies, it's not about laws, it's about little children who then grow up to be teenagers, young adults, mature adults, and senior citizens. Millions of them every year and throughout each generation. In the midst of the big issues, the big talk, the big politics, and everything else, we all too often lose sight of what it really is that has motivated so many people around this planet to say enough is enough on sexual orientation discrimination. And today, the International Day when we put a name to this aggression on so many lives, homophobia, is a time when we must stand up and speak out to ensure we all do our bit to bring to an end this unwarranted and unnecessary violence of the mind, and unfortunately in too many countries around the world, of the body as well. Because you don't have to be gay to fight homophobia. Because you can be straight, but not narrow. You don't have to be gay to fight homophobia any more than you have to be black to fight racism, or a woman to fight for women's rights. No, all you have to be is a person of sensitivity and conscience. Because when we're cut, all of us bleed.